All right, so today we are going deep on Tempus AI.
Tempus AI.
Yeah, have you heard of them?
I have heard of them.
Okay, so they're doing really interesting stuff with artificial intelligence in healthcare.
Right.
We've got a bunch of research here, articles, all that good stuff, and we're going to be talking all about them today.
Sounds good.
So to start off, for people who are unfamiliar with Tempus, what is it?
Yeah, so Tempus is a company that's really trying to revolutionize healthcare,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
specifically in the field of cancer treatment.
Right.
And the way they're doing that is they're leveraging a lot of data,
Okay.
and they're using artificial intelligence
Great.
to analyze this data
Got it.
to help physicians make better decisions.
So it's all about decision support then?
Yeah, it's decision support. It's about really understanding
Okay.
a patient's situation more
Okay.
holistically
Okay.
and really personalizing medicine.
Right. So how much data are we talking about?
They have an enormous amount of data. I think it's the largest collection of clinical and molecular data in the world.
Wow.
And this includes genomic information,
Okay.
electronic health records,
Uh,
imaging data.
wow. So they've got a lot to work with.
They have a lot to work
So
with.
what are they actually doing with all this data?
So they're using AI
Right.
to find patterns in this data
Okay.
that can help physicians with things like
Yeah.
diagnosing diseases earlier,
Okay.
personalizing treatment plans,
Right.
and even identifying patients who might be eligible for clinical trials.
So they're kind of connecting the dots in a way that maybe a human wouldn't be able to do
Exactly.
with that much data.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
They're finding insights that would be very difficult for
Right.
a human to uncover just because of the sheer volume of information.
So it sounds very much like a research project, but is this actually a company that's offering products and services?
Yeah, so they are a publicly traded company,
Okay.
and they offer a suite of products and services. And these are actually being used in the real world by physicians and healthcare systems.
Okay, so give me an example.
Yeah, so one example is their Tempus ECG-AF device.
What is that?
So this is a device that uses AI to identify patients who are at risk of atrial fibrillation.
Atrial fibrillation, okay.
And this is a heart condition
Right.
that can lead to stroke
Okay.
and other serious problems.
So early detection is really important.
Early detection is very important.
I got it.
And what's really impressive about this device is that it's actually FDA cleared
Oh, wow.
and covered by Medicare.
So that's a really big deal,
It is a big deal
especially with the FDA clearance.
because it means that it has gone through rigorous testing.
Right, it's been vetted.
It's been vetted and it's been shown to be effective.
So is that their only product, or do they have other stuff?
No, they have a number of other products.
Okay.
One of their other flagship products is called Tempus One,
Okay.
and this is an AI-powered clinical assistant.
Oh, a clinical assistant.
Yeah. So for physicians,
So what does that do?
it helps physicians to quickly access
Okay.
a patient's complete medical history,
Okay.
any relevant research treatment guidelines,
Okay.
all in one place.
So it's like a really comprehensive tool for
Yeah, it's a very comprehensive tool
for decision making.
for decision making.
So it's sort of like having all the world's information at your fingertips, but specifically tailored to that patient.
Exactly. And, physicians are so busy.
I imagine.
They have very limited time.
Right.
So having a tool like this
Yeah.
that can quickly synthesize all this information for them
Make their jobs easier.
can be incredibly valuable.
Absolutely.
They also have Tempus Next, which is an AI platform that kind of guides oncology providers in figuring out what the next step should be
Oh. So what's the next step in your treatment plan?
in patient's care journey. Exactly.
That's great.
So it's kind of making sure that nothing falls through the cracks.
Yeah, that nothing gets missed.
Exactly.
Because again, these physicians are busy.
Very busy.
They're seeing so many patients.
All right.
It's a lot to keep track of.
Absolutely.
And it's, people's lives are at stake, so it's very important.
Yeah.
So this is really interesting, but I want to understand a little bit more about the people behind this.
Okay.
So who are the folks who kind of came up with this idea and made it happen?
So the founder and CEO is Eric Lefkofsky.
Okay.
And he actually started the company after his own wife was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, wow.
And he saw firsthand
Yeah.
the limitations of traditional cancer treatment.
Okay.
And he really wanted to use data and AI
Ah.
to try to create a better future for cancer care.
So this is a very personal mission for him.
It is a very personal mission for him.
Yeah, that's really inspiring.
It's inspiring.
So he's the founder,
Yeah,
but I imagine there are other key players
there are.
in this company.
They have a very impressive leadership team.
Okay.
The COO is Ryan Fukushima. They have a really sharp CTO, Shane Colley.
Got it.
They have a great chief commercial officer, Taran Bruner,
Okay.
and then a very well-respected chief medical officer of oncology, Dr. Ezra Cohen.
Wow. So they've really assembled a really strong team,
Yeah.
folks,
Yeah.
to tackle this problem.
And they also have a really impressive board of directors.
Oh, really?
Some big names on there, including Dr. Jennifer Doudna, who won the Nobel Prize for CRISPR,
Wow.
and Dr. Scott Gottlieb,
Okay.
who's the former commissioner of the FDA.
Wow. So they've got some heavy hitters on their board.
They do.
That's really interesting.
It's a very impressive group of people.
So it sounds like they're not a small startup anymore. It sounds like they're a pretty sizable company.
They're a major player in the field.
Okay, so how are they doing financially?
They've raised over $1.3 billion in funding.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
So investors are clearly excited about what they're doing.
Investors are very bullish on the company.
Okay. They went public in 2024.
Oh, so they're publicly traded.
They are publicly traded.
Okay.
And they're actually projected to hit $700 million in revenue this year.
Wow. That's a lot.
It is a lot of revenue.
So clearly there's a demand for what they're offering.
There is.
But are they profitable?
Not yet.
Okay.
But they're aiming for positive cash flow by 2026.
Okay, so they're still in that growth phase.
They are.
Where they're investing a lot
Yes, they have a lot.
in research and development and...
Right, and building out their platform.
Exactly.
Expanding their reach.
So they're playing the long game.
They're playing the long game.
I got it.
And that's common for a lot of these
Sure.
tech companies.
Especially in healthcare.
Especially in healthcare, yeah.
It takes a while to get those things.
It takes a while to really
Approved and...
get traction.
Yeah.
Adoption.
So they're not the only ones doing this, right?
No, they're not.
There are other companies working in this space. There are other companies working on precision medicine using AI.
So who are some of their competitors?
So some of their competitors include companies like Strata Oncology,
Okay.
Datavant,
Uh-huh.
Personalis.
I see.
Those are just a few.
Okay, so it's a pretty crowded field.
It is a growing field.
But Tempus seems to be doing pretty well.
They seem to be doing very well.
So what do you think gives them a competitive advantage?
Well, I think one of their biggest advantages is the size of their data set,
Okay.
as we mentioned before.
Right.
It's the largest collection of clinical and molecular data in the world.
Right. No one else has that.
Nobody else has that. And
Yeah.
that gives them a huge advantage when it comes to training
Sure.
and refining their AI algorithms.
Right, because the more data you have, the better your AI is going to be.
Exactly.
So data is king.
Data is king, yeah.
Got it.
I also think that they have built a really powerful integrated platform that offers a comprehensive suite of services. So they're not just a one-trick pony.
Right.
They have a variety of products and services
I got it.
that can meet the needs of a wide range of healthcare providers.
So that makes them a more attractive partner, potentially,
Yeah,
than some of these other companies.
exactly. They're a one-stop shop
They can do it all.
for precision medicine solutions.
Okay. And then the other thing you mentioned were partnerships.
Yes, partnerships are huge for them.
So who are they partnering with?
So they've partnered with approximately 95%
Wow.
of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world,
Wow. Okay.
as well as leading healthcare providers like Northwestern Medicine
Okay.
and other biotech companies like Personalis.
So they're really trying to build a strong ecosystem around this technology.
They're really trying to be a collaborative force in the field.
And that makes a lot of sense because they can't do it alone,
They can't do it alone.
especially with something as complex as healthcare.
Right. They need the expertise of all these different stakeholders
So it's kind of all hands on deck to really move the needle
to really move the needle on precision medicine.
and to kind of, transform healthcare as we know it.
Exactly.
So one other thing that I read about them is that they acquired a company called Ambry Genetics.
Yes, that was a big acquisition for them.
So how does that fit into their overall strategy?
So Ambry Genetics is a leading genetic testing company.
Okay.
And this acquisition really strengthens Tempus's position in the market. It gives them even more testing capabilities and adds valuable data to their already massive library.
So it's like they're just getting bigger and stronger.
They are. They're really becoming a force to be reckoned with.
I mean, they were already, but this is just like
This is taking them...
taking it to another
That's
level.
a next level, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive stuff.
It is very impressive.
So we've talked a lot about the company, the technology, the data, but what does this actually mean for patients?
That's the most important question.
Right. How is this actually impacting people's lives?
And that's something that we'll delve into
Okay, great.
in more detail in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
Sounds good. So, we talked a lot about all the data Tempus has and all the products they're building, but I think for a lot of people, what they really want to know is how is this actually impacting patients?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are the real-world outcomes of all of this?
So one of the most exciting things about what Tempus is doing is the way they're using AI to personalize treatment plans for cancer patients.
So it's not just like a general approach to a certain type of cancer. It's really tailored to the individual.
Exactly, because every cancer is different.
Right.
Every patient is different.
Of course.
And so the idea is that by using all of this data and AI,
Yeah.
you can actually develop a treatment plan that's specifically tailored to that individual's unique genetic makeup, their medical history.
So it's like truly personalized medicine.
It's truly personalized medicine.
That's amazing.
And, this has the potential to lead to better outcomes,
Right.
fewer side effects,
Makes sense.
and even reduced healthcare costs in the long run.
Because if you're getting the right treatment the first time, you're not having to go back and try different things.
Exactly.
It seems so much more efficient.
It's much more efficient, and it's really putting the patient at the center
It's at the center of their care.
Which is where they should be.
Absolutely.
And, it's not just about treatment either.
Okay.
Tempus is also using its technology for early disease detection.
I read a little bit about that.
And this is really critical for improving patient outcomes.
Especially with something like cancer.
Especially with something like cancer, where early detection is key.
Absolutely.
So their AI is essentially acting like a highly trained medical detective,
Okay.
sifting through massive amounts of data
Right.
to spot subtle patterns and indicators that might be missed.
Even by the best doctors.
Even by the most experienced doctors, exactly.
Because it's just too much data for a human to process.
It's too much data.
Can't even imagine.
So by analyzing these large data sets,
Yeah.
their algorithms can actually identify those early warning signs,
Oh, wow.
potentially catching diseases in their earliest stages when they're most treatable.
So that's got to be life-changing for so many people.
It is life-changing.
To be able to catch something early before it becomes a major problem.
Absolutely.
That's really incredible.
It's really amazing what they're doing.
And, and then the other thing is this clinical trial matching that they're doing.
Yes.
It's so interesting to me.
It's really fascinating.
Because it's like they're connecting the dots between patients and the latest research.
Exactly. So they're helping people find clinical trials.
Like,
that might be a good fit for them.
that they might not otherwise even know about. Because there are so many clinical trials out there.
There are so many.
It's impossible to keep track of them all.
Right. So what Tempus is doing is they're using a patient's genetic profile and their medical history to match them with clinical trials.
I see.
That are most likely to benefit them.
So they're using data to kind of make those connections.
Make those connections.
That's really powerful.
It's very powerful.
Especially for people who have maybe exhausted all other treatment options.
Exactly. So it's really giving patients hope who might not have had any other options.
Yeah, that's huge.
And, it's also helping to accelerate the pace of medical research.
How so?
Because by connecting researchers with the right patients for their trials, it's helping them
get the data they need.
Faster.
So it's speeding up the whole process.
It's speeding up the whole process of drug discovery and development.
That's incredible.
It's really amazing.
So it's like this virtuous cycle where patients are benefiting and research is being accelerated.
Exactly.
It's a win-win situation.
It's a win-win for everyone involved.
That's really great to hear.
I think so too.
And, we talked about how they're impacting patients, but they're also impacting the healthcare system as a whole.
Yes.
Right? They're involved in drug discovery and development.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about that.
So, pharmaceutical companies are increasingly leveraging Tempus's data and AI capabilities to identify new drug targets.
So they're helping to come up with new drugs.
So they're helping to come up with new drugs and also predict the effectiveness of new treatments.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So it's really helping to streamline the drug development process.
So potentially bringing new therapies to market faster.
Exactly.
That's huge.
A very big deal.
Because, as we all know, drug development can take a really long time.
It can take years.
Years and years and lots of money.
A lot of money. So anything that can help to speed up that process is going to be a huge benefit to patients.
Absolutely. And, I think a lot of people are concerned about the rising cost of healthcare.
Right. That's a major issue.
And so I'm curious to know, how is Tempus addressing that issue?
So one of the ways they're addressing that issue is by improving the efficiency of healthcare delivery.
Okay.
So, for example, their Tempus Next platform that we talked about earlier, that helps to streamline care coordination.
Okay.
And this can potentially reduce unnecessary tests and procedures.
So that's saving money right there.
That's saving money right there.
If you don't have to do unnecessary tests.
And it's also reducing the burden on patients who might have to go through
all these hoops.
All these hoops,
And, and their work in personalized medicine is also helping to make treatments more affordable.
Right.
Because you're ensuring that patients are receiving only the therapies that are most likely to benefit them.
Exactly.
So you're avoiding the cost of ineffective treatments.
It's really about getting the right treatment to the right patient at the right time.
It just seems like common sense.
It does.
But it's amazing that it's taken this long for technology to catch up to that idea.
It's true.
So I'm really impressed with what Tempus is doing.
They're doing amazing work.
And I'm curious to know, what do you think the future holds for them?
I think the future is very bright for Tempus.
Okay.
They're clearly a company on a mission.
Yeah.
They have a strong track record of innovation.
Absolutely.
They have a lot of support from investors.
Right. We talked about all that money they raised.
A lot of money.
And they're attracting top talent.
They are.
So I think they're well positioned to continue to be a leader in this space.
I agree.
But, it's not all going to be easy.
Of course not.
There are going to be challenges along the way.
There are always challenges.
What are some of the hurdles that you think they might face?
So I think one of the biggest hurdles is going to be navigating the regulatory landscape. Healthcare is a highly regulated industry.
Right.
And it can be very difficult to get new products and services approved.
And especially with something as cutting edge as this.
Especially with AI.
Yeah, it's a whole new world.
It's a whole new world for regulators.
So I imagine there's going to be a lot of back and forth.
A lot of back and forth.
With the FDA and other agencies to really figure out how to regulate this technology.
Right, and how to ensure that it's being used safely and effectively.
Absolutely.
Another big hurdle is going to be ensuring data privacy and security.
That's a huge one.
It's a huge one.
With all the data breaches that we've seen in recent years.
Yeah, this is a major concern for everyone.
Yeah, it's a big concern.
But especially in healthcare.
Especially with healthcare data.
Where the data is so sensitive.
So they're going to have to be very careful about how they're handling that data.
Absolutely.
And making sure that it's protected.
Yeah, and they're going to need to be transparent with patients about how their data is being used.
I think that's really important.
I think so, too.
For people to feel comfortable.
For build trust.
Sharing their data.
Exactly.
And then, the other thing is that this is such a rapidly evolving field.
It is.
The technology is changing so quickly.
Right.
So they're going to have to stay ahead of the curve.
They have to stay ahead of the curve.
In terms of AI and genomics.
Yeah, it's a constant race.
It is.
To keep up with the latest advancements.
So they can't just rest on their laurels.
No, they can't just say, oh, okay, we've built this great platform, we're done.
Right. They have to keep innovating.
They have to keep innovating.
And investing in research and development.
Yeah, it's a very dynamic field.
It sounds like it.
And I think that's one of the things that makes it so exciting.
It's exciting.
It's also challenging, but it's exciting.
So it sounds like they've got their work cut out for them.
They do.
But from what we've discussed so far,
yeah,
they seem to have the vision.
They do.
The resources.
Yep.
And the determination. To make a real difference.
I think they're going to do great things.
I think so, too.
And it's important to acknowledge, the human element driving this innovation.
Yes.
We talked about Eric Lefkofsky's personal story. And I think that's really at the heart of what Tempus is all about.
It's a very human story.
It is.
And it's a reminder that behind all this cutting-edge technology, there's a very human motivation.
There is.
To alleviate suffering and improve lives.
That's what it's all about.
And I think that's something that really resonates with me.
Me too.
And I think it resonates with a lot of people.
I think so too.
Because at the end of the day, we all want to be healthy.
We do.
And we all want our loved ones to be healthy.
And we want to live longer, healthier lives.
Exactly.
And I think Tempus is really trying to make that a reality.
I think so, too.
And I'm excited to see what they do in the future.
Me too.
But, as we talk about all this great technology,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also important to consider the potential impact on the doctor-patient relationship.
That's a really important point.
Because, we don't want technology to come in and dehumanize healthcare.
Right. We still want that human connection.
Exactly.
Between doctor and patient.
So how do you see AI tools, like the ones Tempus is developing, changing the dynamic between doctors and patients?
I think it's a great question, and it's something that we're going to explore in more detail in the next part of our deep dive.
That's good.
All right, so we've learned a ton about Tempus and their work using AI to personalize cancer treatment.
They're doing some really incredible things, especially with their massive data library and those AI-powered tools for doctors.
Yeah, and they've really come a long way from being this small startup to a major force in the healthcare industry.
What's impressive is they're not just focused on the tech, but also on how it can actually make a difference for patients.
And that's the most important thing at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely. It's about improving outcomes and giving people hope.
But as we talked about earlier, there are also these ethical questions that come with AI in healthcare.
Right, like data privacy and making sure the algorithms aren't biased.
And we also have to think about how this technology might change the relationship between doctors and patients.
Yeah, that's a big one. We don't want AI to replace human connection and empathy.
So it sounds like there's a lot to consider, but Tempus seems to be approaching it thoughtfully.
They are, and they're setting a high bar for the industry.
So as we wrap things up, what's the takeaway for our listeners?
Well, if you or someone you know is dealing with cancer, Tempus represents this new wave of possibilities.
With more personalized treatments, earlier detection, and hopefully better outcomes.
And even beyond individual patients, Tempus's story shows how AI can transform healthcare for everyone.
It's still early days, but the potential is huge.
But it's important that we keep having conversations about the ethics of AI in healthcare and how we use it responsibly.
That's a good point. It's not just about the tech itself, but about how we shape its development and ensure it benefits everyone.
Absolutely, and that's something we all need to think about, not just scientists and doctors.
So, to our listeners, stay informed, stay curious, and let's keep this conversation going.
Yeah, because the future of healthcare is being shaped right now, and it's important that we all have a say in it.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us today for this deep dive into Tempus AI.
It's been my pleasure.